Howdy, Halo fans. Welcome to another episode of the Heady Halo Hot Take Hoedown. I am, of course, Vince the Angels Cowboy. No, that is not Fernando. That is Mr. Todd Fox himself, who is filling in for Fernando while he's on vacation. But don't worry, Fernando will be back sooner than you think. Today's hot take, we are going to talk about, with the trade deadline and coming up in about a month, we have a specific player who could be the big piece that can help us in the future. Who is that going to be? We'll find out right after this.
From Anaheim down to the Texas plains, hot takes flying riding off the reins. Lone Star Halo Cowboy Vince, calling it bold, never on the fence. Hoedown time, turn it up loud. Hot takes are ringing, drawing a crowd. No matter how wild, no matter how strange, ain't no limit on the takes we say.
Oh, yes, that is right. Yeah, that was you, Todd. But you know what? It's okay. He's not used to this, people, so bear with him.
False start on me. But hey, welcome into the Halo Hot Take Hoedown. I am Todd Fox. Thank you for the intro, Vince. It's a pleasure to be on the show. As we talk Angels baseball, the trade deadline looming. I know on the post game, Vince, I get a lot of questions almost on the nightly, especially when the Angels win. Are we buyers or sellers, man? And I guess we could start there, right? And then go with the hot take.
Well, before we do that, Fernando and I will do a little recap of what we believe are our opinions on the what happened these last few games. So I'll go first. I was pretty impressed about this series that we just had. With the exception of the Houston series, I think it should have been a sweep. I think we all can agree with that. This should have been a 6-0 road trip. There was a lot of things that looked pretty promising, at least in the Astros series, because the two losses we had were one-run games. You have to take that in consideration because there have been times in the past, and we all know it, that the Astros just annihilate us regardless of where we are. Whether we're in Houston or we're at home, they always have that one game where they score at least 8 or more runs. And I think the reason why that this game was a little bit closer, or those games were close, was that the pitching basically did their part. The bullpen did, with the exception of course, on Sunday. I mean, Sunday the bullpen had their good spiels, but at the same time, the defense affected us. If we take away the errors from Rengifo, we win that game regardless. And then the Friday game, we just couldn't hit. I mean, we only scored 2 runs, and we had a chance in extra innings, but unfortunately that run scores, and then Houston just finishes it off. So I was impressed. And then, of course, with Saturday, after a Logan O'Hoppe signing, yes, I did give him a T-shirt, and you're welcome for those 2 home runs to the people who got to witness it in person. I'm just going to throw it out there. But no, it was a cool experience to meet Logan O'Hoppe before the game, and my nephews got a chance to meet him, talked for a little bit. And I did ask my famous question. If you don't know it, just go on my Instagram. You'll find out. You'll hear his answer, and you'll know. But no, it was impressive of the weekend against Houston. But yeah, should have been a sweep. And then the Red Sox series, I was impressed as well. The starting pitching did pretty well, especially Yusei Kikuchi in the Wednesday game. A bad first inning gives up 2 runs. And I was actually listening to the game while I was at work. And the first thing that came to my mind is, it's going to be one of those starts where we're either not going to hit or he's going to have a rough start. But he got out of it. And that's what I liked about him, is that he found his groove after that first inning. And then even our offense picked up a little bit with Adele. That hot take's looking great. If you know from last month that he was going to lead the team in home runs, and I made a bold prediction where I said he was going to hit 9. Well, I hit the over. So so that was pretty cool to see that he hit double digits in home runs, and who knows, he might get a few more this weekend or even next week. The month is still doesn't end until Monday. That's the last day of June. So if I could grade this homestand of 6 games, I would have to give it a B, a solid B, not a B plus, not a B minus, but a solid B, because every player had their moment. Of course, Christian Moore had his moment in the second game against Boston, which basically told the baseball world and Angel fans that, look, I'm here to stay, I'm here to win, and I want to be a part of this future. And the only way that's going to happen is if I do my part, but also all 25 of us do our part. So, yeah, a solid B for this 6-game homestand that just happened.
To echo that a little bit, I'd have to give it a B too. As far as Kikuchi's concerned, I know his start against the Astros was pretty good. He allowed 2 runs in that game as well, but that was it. He shut him down the rest of the game, and then he had to leave, and the offense couldn't help him out. And the same thing happened, looked like it was going to happen against Boston, like you said. An error allows those 2 runs, and then, but he's just striking. I mean, I was so impressed with his changeup on the outside corner, how it looks similar to his slider that breaks in on right-handers. And that ball stayed on the outside corner, and then it slowed down, which caught a lot of right-handed hitters for Boston off guard. I mean, he looked very dominant on on Wednesday. So very, very pleased with his last couple outings. And as far, you hit the nail on the head, man. Usually the Astros manhandle us, and it's not even close. And I'm beginning to think that this team has caught up, at least in a way, talent-wise, a little bit closer to the Astros. And we're able to hang with them, man. No longer are the days where they're able to blow us out. So I was intrigued by that. You still pick up a couple games in the wild card. You still pick up a game or 2 here in the standings. So it's looking really good, but they got to complete this homestand very strong. And they've had 4 series versus 2 against Baltimore, where they lost 5 out of 6, a losing team, and they lost 2 out of 3 to the Pirates, 2 out of 3 to the Marlins. They're the Nationals are coming in here, kind of cold, young team, but we got to attack them and go for the jugular in this one, and to finish a homestand at maybe 8-2 or not 8-2. I'm sorry, 7 and what is it? Oh, I'm sorry, it's 9 games. If they could finish, at a 7-2 clip, or maybe even a 6-3, I'm good with that. And I don't want to lose this series to the Nationals. And then I have to give you and Fernando your flowers, because again, I caught that at the beginning of the season. There was a lot of messages out there saying, I don't know about these guys calling for Adele to lead the month in home runs, but you guys nailed it, dude. He's been solid. He's been getting base hits too. So it's not just the home runs. He's probably had the best month of all the Angels hitting wise. And last thing I got, and I just wanted to blow this by you real quick, Vince. I've seen it, and maybe you have. We were talking about it the other day. There's a little different vibe with the Angels with Montgomery as skipper. They're running more, and they seem to be more patient at the plate too. What do you get out of that?
I think he gets a little bit from Ron Washington. I mean, maybe there is talks that Ron Washington is still making some of the calls from the suite, from the GM box with Perry. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. Maybe Montgomery does have a different philosophy, but I still think maybe as well Washington is calling the shots, because he has a tendency to be an aggressive manager, and not only just a manager, but as a base coach. We'll never forget the series against the Dodgers in the championship series back in 2021 with the Braves. He made 2 gutsy calls as a base coach. Well, actually, maybe 1. I mean, the other one was. No, it was 2. I'm sorry. Yeah, he made 2 gutsy calls as a third base coach to send Eddie Rosario on that throw that was on a little looper hit by Ozzie Albies. And some third base coaches were like, "Oh, you got to hold him because it's a bloop single." But Ron Washington has been in the game for a long time. Saw that. Look, Souza was not coming in to throw home. He was receiving the ball to make sure it didn't get past him. that little quick, like split second that Ron Washington read, figured, okay, I'm sending you because he's not ready to throw you out and you're going to beat the throw. Sure enough, he did that. And then the second one, Austin Riley hits a rocket into over the head of Betts in center, and Ozzie Albies is coming from first base. Now, if you've played baseball all your life, you know first to home, that is the longest run of your life. You think an inside the park home run is long, a first to home is just as long. And by the time you get to third base, your legs just want to give out so bad. And Ozzie Albies, well, when you have Ron Washington as your base coach, guess what? You better expect in game 2 of a playoff game at home against a juggernaut of a team like the Dodgers, you better have those legs strong enough to get to home plate. And guess what? He beat the throw. They tie the game. They ended up walking it off. So I think there might be a little bit of Washington saying, hey, Montgomery, do this, do that. Because that's how Ron Washington is. He wants to be aggressive, and I like the aggressiveness. And if maybe this is also a way of training Montgomery to maybe get a step in the future. Maybe he does want to be a manager, because we've had a past of having bench coaches in the Angels organization who either A, become managers or are capable of being managers. Case in point, Dino Ebel. Dino Ebel can be a manager, I think, in any team, but maybe he's not ready for that, or he feels like he's more comfortable as a bench coach / third base coach, and that's why he's there with the Dodgers. And I think if anything, Dino Ebel should get a chance as manager. Maybe Montgomery will get his shot too, but it's too early. Maybe in the near future, there's a possibility. Maybe Ron Washington decides to retire. He steps down, and they ask him, "Hey, who do you think should take over?" And he says, "Take one of my guys. I feel a lot confident in them." So, final thought: I think Washington's still calling something to get these guys going from the box up above.
Yeah, and it's good points. There has been a lot of bench coaches. I think Socha had quite the tree of managers that coaches that went on to be managers. So it will be interesting, because I think either way, Vince, I think we've seen, even if Ron gets back into the dugout at some point this season, this is his last season. I don't think he coaches beyond this. So yeah, it would be interesting if Ray Montgomery would finally get that opportunity and here with the Angels, or we go another direction. But you got to think, though, that Ray might have, a pretty good leg up on a new recruit, because maybe a new manager would have to blow away Manassian, because right now it seems that the team chemistry is as high as it's been all season. These guys are all believing that it was good anyway, from what we heard with Ron at the helm. So maybe you don't want to mess up that chemistry at the end of the season. Maybe you say, hey, man, let's go into year 2 or year 1 with Ray at the helm, So we'll see. It's definitely going to be interesting. But like our boy Roger Lodge says, we've got a lot of baseball left to be played. The season starts tonight.
Yeah, we haven't even got to the All-Star break yet. But, yeah, it's definitely going to be fun. I think also with the young core coming in, that's helping out a lot. With Christian Moore, I think it helps out just a little bit. Now, imagine both him and Kyron Paris, because they're just as fiery as guys in that clubhouse, along with Zach Neto. And, you could say Logan O'Hoppe, but he really doesn't have, like, those moments that we expect. It has to be, like, a really, really special moment for him to erupt in a way. So I do see that coming about, and that is what you need. You need this young core to be tight, and that's where the question starts coming in about with the whole trade talks. What do you do in this situation? You mentioned it earlier, so we'll get right into it. It's a good transition right here. I think there's two things that the Angels should do. It's either sell or stay put. If you want to compete, I think staying put is the safe bet, because what do you have to buy? What do you have to get pieces to fill in the holes that could help you compete this year? If anything, I'd rather fill the holes to compete for 10 years, not for the next 3 months. So therefore, obviously there's the big talk there was a viral video that came out this week that about our farm system. Fernando and I talk about it a lot, where we have we do have the worst farm system. We're 30th in like every single category, and all because of that debacle that happened in 2023. If we were sellers in 2023 and didn't go for competition, decide, you know what, let's build for the future now, then I think we would probably be in the top 20 in prospects in farm system. But we just like shipped majority of the farm system just to compete. That didn't even happen. So I don't want that to happen. And I think a lot of Angel fans don't want that to happen. Yeah, it's great to compete, but you rather, if you're competing now, it's kind of like it goes back to the if it ain't broke, don't fix it. This doesn't need to be fixed because I don't think it is broken. I mean, honestly, the Angels were broken even when the season started, but for some reason we found our way to fix it, and I feel like it's already completely fixed. There's no need to be buyers at the deadline. So I think this is a selling year. This has to be a selling year. Is the guy above going to do it? I don't think so, because he's been wanting to compete for the last ever since he bought the team. But at the same time, you have to build for the future. The window doesn't open until next year. Fernando says it all the time. We're not supposed to compete this year. We're supposed to compete next year. But it'd be great to at least push for a playoff. But still, I wouldn't want to give away what you don't have.
I agree. I think it's almost like it's the old cliche addition by subtraction. And which means like I wouldn't want to stand pat per se. I would want to look at like a team like, Cleveland or Toronto or someone that's pushing for that wild card spot that maybe if the Angels are 4.5 games out, I don't see the need to buy anything really. But even if they're like, let's just say they're in the top 2 of the wild card, playing for that last one or the second wild card, you have to buy something. But the addition by subtraction works because you can, instead of bargaining with a team that's out of it, like the Marlins, like the Pirates, you could be like, hey, Milwaukee, do you need a setup guy? Do you need a closer? We have Kelly Jensen. Who can you give us that's major league ready? We're not looking for one of your high prospects, but maybe just we could gain depth. So say, for instance, they have an extra outfielder. Let's pick up one of their extra outfielders, and now we have depth at that position. Or we need another infielder, something like that. Or an injury happens and we need to fill a void. Let's look for a team that fits what we need, because we're not going to dive into the prospects, take a high prospect. We could take someone too that's on an expiring contract that could help us out. Or maybe he has 2 years left, but we pick up the bulk of that money. Something to where we can have some sort of control for next year. And then like a Taylor Ward, we've heard over and over, San Diego wants him. He lives down in that area, SoCal area. His wife doesn't want to leave California. Perfect trade partner, especially the Padres will be in it somewhere. And we could possibly pick up a player or two. We don't need to bring on big names. And I agree with you and Fernando. This team's not supposed to contend this year. My ceiling for this team in the offseason was 500. And if we hit 500 or a couple games over, Vince, that's a success, no matter if we make the playoffs or not.
Yeah, because it's a preview of what's going to happen in the future. Like what Vladimir Guerrero Jr. said in what was it? I think it was 2022 when he said, "Hey, last year was the preview. This year is the movie, basically." And that's what we need right now. We need a preview, basically. The Angels have to go out there and tell show the fans that like we're going to preview what we have, what you're going to expect in the next 5 to 10 years, and that's what you need. Like it's better to not know who is on the roster and then play good than to have a team where the entire roster but they play poorly. And that's what we've seen in the last few years. Because I make this joke. A friend of mine, she said, "I don't even know who's on the Angels. I just know Mike Trout. I don't know anybody else." It's like, well, guess what? If those kids play good, that's a good sign. I'd rather have that because, in the next 5 to 10 years, they're going to be superstars eventually. And we need that. We need the confidence, and it's going to happen. So I feel good about the rest of the way. As long as these kids have fun, then it's going to go. Then it's going to go a long way for sure. And speaking of fun, let's go to our sponsors. We reached the halfway point of the show. So, like I said, speaking of fun, 714 tickets, 714 tickets. Yes, continue to use 714 tickets. Use the code HITI to get 10% off your purchase. You can use that anytime. And I say that with enthusiasm. And I've used it. Fernando's used it. We've all used it here at Halos in the Infield. Brewheim Brewery. Go in and mention Halos in the Infield for some drink specials. OC Dugout, of course, thank you to them for running a great autograph signing. Not just the Zach Nettle one that happened a month ago, but also the Logan O'Hoppe one that just happened this past weekend. And July 12th, put it on your calendars, Nolan Shonowell will be signing autographs. And lastly, but simply not least, Max Market Pros.
Absolutely. They're going to help you with website building, helping your small business through Google, and much, much more. Check them out at maxmarketpros.com.
All right, cool. So now, like I said, we've reached the halfway point. It's now for the hot take of the week. Todd, since you picked it, go ahead and intro it.
Well, it goes back to what we were talking about, buyers or sellers at the trade deadline. Kelly Jensen, obviously, in our mind, should be traded. And it's just, a part of a hot take. But here's what the hot take for me is going to be, and let's see if you agree or disagree on this one. With what happened to Ben Joyce earlier and Kelly Jensen moving on, it's kind of ironic, like Alanis Morissette used to say, that we're going to have 2 first-round picks possibly. And this is with Stevenson not knowing where he's going to be at. He still could be in the mix or so. But in my mind right now, how I'm looking at it, the hot hands, you have 2 former first-round picks that should be anchoring this rotation that I think my hot take is that they finished the year strong as setup and closer, and that's Sam Bachman and Reed Detmers.
You know what? That is a real hot take, and I actually would agree with you on this because, well, actually, it's an agree to disagree because okay. I'll tell you why. Last episode, Fernando and I talked about Reed Detmers moving to the rotation, going back to the rotation. The reason why is because, one, he has proven himself to get back into it. But the second reason, too, is all about the trade deadline. If Tyler Anderson was to get traded, Reed Detmers is going to move in. That was my take. On top of that, whoever had struggles, if Kyle Hendricks had his struggles, he would probably move to the bullpen. Detmers go back to the rotation. Or Ryan Zefferson, or not Ryan Zefferson, I'm sorry. Jack Kahanowitz, if he had his struggles, he would be sent to AAA, get some work in, just like Detmers did, and Detmers would move in. So I don't think he'll be a closer. I do see Bachman, though, getting some work in as closer. He could be a future setup man for Ben Joyce, in my opinion. But the thing is we're kind of putting him in a high-pressure situation. If he was to go into the closer role right away, say Kenley Jensen does get traded, which we could possibly it could happen because there's a lot of value in him. He not only did he reach a milestone, but he's still an effective closer and can compete or can help any playoff team get far into the postseason because he's been there before. He's been to World Series. Or at least one World Series. Well, 3 of them. I'm sorry. He's been to 3 World Series. He knows the high pressure situations. He knows how to be a leader in October. So a lot of teams are going to be calling his name for sure. But the thing is, it also depends on where we sit. If we're below 500 at the trade deadline, then there's going to be a lot of teams saying, like, calling Perry and say, Perry, you don't need him. We do. You're not going to contend this year. You're going to contend next year. I would hope that the GMs are going to come out, just boxing gloves and everything, saying, Perry, just just let it go. Okay. This like you need to get ready for 10 years. You don't need to get ready for 3 months. Okay. Figure it out right now. But if anything, Perry's probably telling those GMs, my boss is calling the shots. I really can't do much. I wouldn't be surprised if that's what he's responding. And that's why he's making these moves to compete right now. But we don't need that. But going back to what you said, Todd, I don't see Detmers as a closer. I think he's going to make his way back to the rotation. I said it last week, and I'm going to continue saying it at least till the end of the season, or at least till trade deadline. And then maybe Bachman will get his share in. I think Bachman will probably get some setup situations or setup opportunities for Jensen, and then therefore this season to get more work in, see how he is as a closer, put him in the closer role when we get to the 40-man rosters in September, and then next year figure out, okay, who's going to be the closer, who's going to be the setup man between him and Joyce, because there's a possibility that Joyce is going to be back by spring training because the shoulder injury is only a 6 to 8 month recovery compared to Tommy John, which is 12 to 18 months. So there is hope, and Fernando and I mentioned it about a month ago, that there's hope that Ben Joyce will be back and he will be the closer next season. I think that's a possibility that's going to happen. If I make the prediction for next spring training, you're going to be, your closer is Ben Joyce, your setup man is going to be Sam Bachman, and then your seventh inning guy, I don't like saying his name, but I think he is a perfect number 7 or seventh inning pitcher. It's Ryan Zevershon.
Okay. Well, we still have Stevenson on the books, so I know too many Angel fans haven't, given him an opportunity because he hasn't had an opportunity. But I think he's going to play a mix down the stretch in Stevenson. I'll have to disagree with Detmers because right now I've seen how they're using him. They're not letting him go more than 2 innings max, which means I think they're going to keep him in that rotational move. And I think with Ryan Johnson in the minors and has stretched him out, he's already gone through single A and high A, and he's probably going to be jumping up to Rocket City because his ERA is so low. They're stretching him out to be a starter. I still think that no matter what, if the Angels are 10 games up in the standings, I still think you have to trade Jensen because I look at Jensen like a trade piece like Aroldis Chapman a couple of years ago when the Pirates paid him like $8.5 million, almost $10 million, to basically close for half of the season for the Pirates. And then I think it was the Yankees or someone reacquired him and they gave him 2 nice players that they're still using to this day that are on the roster. That's a kind of trade I would like for Jensen. And I think Detmers, whether he's a setup guy or a closer for Bachman or Stevenson down the stretch, I just think that they're going to stick with him because right now, I don't know, there's something about him that I see when he's in the bullpen warming up and when he's on the mound compared to what I've seen the last 2 years, which is on and off Reed Detmers prime, like primed, ready to go. I've got that dog in me. And then there's that Reed Detmers, oh, I'm scared to throw a pitch look. And I haven't seen that scared to throw a pitch look when he's been as a reliever. So I don't know if they see it too, but that's where I kind of tend to think he's going to finish out the year in the bullpen. And then maybe, like you said, at the end of the year, they have questions to be answered. They have to think about, okay, what's Detmers going to be long-term for us? Are we going to re-stretch him out in spring training, make him a starter again? Do we pick up enough free agents to fill the rotation already? Like, they'll have options. I just think I think they'll do more detriment to Detmers if they stretch him out again, because we saw what they did yo-yoing poor Soriano last year. By the time the season was over or almost over, he was shut down. So I don't want that to happen to Detmers. I don't think they do too. So that'd be the only reason why I think they're going to keep him as a reliever.
Well, another strategy you could use is go back to opener / or whatnot when it comes to like bullpen games, because that's another thing, because he knows how to start games. Maybe he goes like 3 innings and then okay, you're good, because one time basically he goes one time through the lineup, and then I would say if I was to do like a opener strategy with Detmers, I would do like, okay, go 3 innings and see how you do. And then you face the leadoff guy. If you get up a hit to the leadoff guy, then you're done, because therefore the leadoff guy probably picked up your fastball, picked up your curveball, slider, what. You get the guy out, okay, let's stretch it a little bit, see how you do. And if you go 4 good innings, then you can have the bullpen finish it, or kind of a way of kind of like earning it, basically. And but yeah, I do understand the risk part, because Fernando did mention it, and that's why he didn't. Even Fernando said he doesn't believe having Detmers into the rotation because of the long stretch. But I think that would be a safe bet if you were to bring Detmers into the rotation, was to use them as an opener for, like, you don't even have to do 1 inning. You can go 2, 3, and I think he's capable of doing that. And you could also change the lineup a little bit. You can play chess basically with him, because you start a lefty. Guess what? You're going to start your right-handers, and then you have to empty your bench in a way when your right-handers start coming in and start doing the matchups and everything. It's a possibility. It's the old school strategy. I know we don't have the double switch anymore, but still, like, and we have a universal DH. So I think that's another thing that comes into effect. But other than that, yeah, I think just staying put is the way to go. And then, but yeah, Jensen, which is the topic of the day, I do think he should get traded. You're right. Just like Chapman a couple years ago, when he was on when he got traded to the Pirates to the Yankees, same thing. Just they needed they got a good return, and I think we can get a good return. But the question is who's willing to give that return? I mean, if I was to run down a list of players or like teams that need a closer, I mean, that are at least playoff contenders, maybe the Cubs could be a good choice. Maybe maybe not the Royals. The Royals are out of contention, but there's so many teams that could be consideration. Maybe even the Giants. I think the Giants would be a good pick too, but the Giants, I don't think, have that strong of a farm system. I think they're ranked like 26, if I'm not mistaken, in a farm system. So that might come into effect. And now that the Giants are dealing with Rafael Devers, that comes into consideration as well. So it's just a matter of who's out there. And there's going to be playoff teams that for sure need that closer. They want that shutdown closer, and that's Kenley Jensen. So final verdict for me, yeah, I think Jensen is a good piece to get a good amount of prospects. And they don't even have to be then obviously they're not going to get give away top 5. We could get good top 10, if anything. And then also, I think another thing that comes into effect too is the draft that's going to be in a couple weeks. Who do we take? There's a lot of talk. I remember when the season started, or before the college baseball season started, there was talks that we were supposed to get the kid from Texas A&M. Well, he has that wrist injury, so we don't know how he's going to be. And there's rumors that his draft stock has dropped because of that injury. So now it's like, okay, where do we go from here? Do we still give him a chance and say, you know what, like your wrist, by the time it's better, you'll be ready to go? Or do we go with pitching? Because there's a lot of talk about pitching as well that we're looking into. So, but at least, but second overall, the thing is what's different about baseball compared to the other sports. Second overall pick, it's exciting if you know baseball. But if you're a casual baseball fan and you think like, oh, this kid's gonna be like he's gonna get called up to the majors soon, it doesn't work like that. It's not the NFL where it's like a draft pick can basically define your season, but a draft pick in the MLB defines what your future is going to be. So with the young core we have, I think there might be. I hope they take some consideration. Maybe the young core comes in and says like tells Perry, like if Perry asks like, hey, what's your opinion? It's like, well, I've seen this kid, or like maybe Christian Moore will give some take in, because it's like, well, I played against this kid in the SEC, and he's a good fit for us, and he's a dog basically. So right now, it's looking for the dogs right now. And I said it last week with Fernando. Don't be surprised if we get SEC kids in our draft, because they're basically AA affiliated / major league ready kids once they get drafted in about like a year. By next season, they're getting invited to spring training for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of how I fall in it too. I don't really like the high school kids. They're more of a project. Sometimes you can get a prodigy from them, but for the most part, I like to get an SEC guy or, like you said, ACC guy too. Those guys they're just a different breed. At least the stars in those leagues they are. What I take out of this too, I think you can, if Moore continues his ascension and continues to play and anchor down that second base position. Once Minkata comes back, if Minkata can play a little bit before the All-Star break, I still think he finishes his contract out in Anaheim. I think had he stayed healthy, he could have been a trade piece. But I think there is a lot of value in Louis Renifo. I think some teams can possibly say, hey, you know what, we can fix this kid. And the way that you get Renifo traded is Moore keeps hitting and Minkata comes back. And Kyron Paris, who a lot of us love, but he has that uppercut swing. If he could figure out a way to get on base more often, not strike out as much, cut that down, start to level that bat out a little bit, get some more hits, that could take, hey, you can have an outfield out there of Soler, Adele, and Paris, and now Ward is expendable as well. That's another player you can use. And again, you brought up Chad Wallach. He's played here before. He could finish out the string. Travis d'Arnaud, if another team needs a backup catcher, you hate to see him go. But again, you're building for the future. And a little piece here, like you said, because I love that take, you can get a couple top 10 guys per trade, or at least one top 10 guy and a lower level minor leaguer. And then that just adds to a depleted farm system that'll get a little bit healthier. So you're talking about 4 players just right there, and maybe even like a Hunter Strickland. You can spin him for another pick, right? Or another player. So you can possibly by subtraction add for the future, like you said, and then you can add the free agents that you would need to fill in the gaps next season. So it's a good plan if Perry's listening. You hate to do it because he'd be like, hey, I want to see this team win. But I think Vince, you, me, and Fernando and the rest of the Heedy crew understand that whatever you get out of this team this year is gravy, because we can see the ascension, we can see the team building, and it's just not there yet. And yes, you would love for them to get to the wild card, maybe lose, but just get their feet wet a little bit. If that happens, great. If it doesn't, I still would rather play it safe, utilize the pawns and I'm forgetting the chess term that we have with those upcoming free agents and veterans to bring a little bit back to the system instead of letting them play out the string on a team that's not going to make the playoffs, and you let them walk for free.
Yeah, we need to play chess right now. We tried to play checkers back in 2023, and look where that got us. And it's
absolutely,
yeah. So as long as we keep playing chess and we play our and move our pieces correctly, then it's going to be a bright future for sure. And we always talk about this. Shout out Bill, always Top Fan Rivalry always mentions it. The 10-year stretches. Our 10-year stretch ends right now. This is supposed to be the year of our 10-year stretch, because the reason why this year. The last competitive year we had was 2015. Last time we were above 500. And on top of that, that was the last time we pushed for a playoff. And then we had that terrible August that basically ruined our chances. And then guess what? We're predicted to have 10 losing seasons. So this year, if we have a losing season, it counts as number 10. And then that's why the window opens for next season. So we'll hope, we can only hope for what's going to happen in the next few days and also the next few weeks, because once come All-Star break, then I believe the All-Star break is going to define where we are, and then we're going to decide what's going to happen with trade talks. And Fernando and I will most likely get more into trade talks starting in the next week, but Todd and I got the ball rolling already with one piece. Next week, we might refer to another piece, or maybe another 2 pieces. We'll find out. So as we wrap it up, don't forget to follow all of our social medias. Of course, Halo's in the infield on all of our social medias, Facebook, Instagram, X, and YouTube. And also don't forget to follow Mr. Todd Fox himself at Fox_Todd with 2 D's _Heedy. And of course, don't forget to follow me at Angels_Cowboy, where you will find some great content, some laughs, and some smiles. And if you see me at the ballpark, don't worry. I'm not that hard to find. I will always be wearing this hat for every single game I go to. I may switch up the jerseys, but I'm always there. And feel free to come up and say hi to me. We don't bite. Same thing with Todd. You see Todd, very friendly. Come say hi. And if you ever want to be in a video, let us know. We'll do some content, have a little fun, rapid fire questions, just anything, and just continue to engage into the Angel community. So, Todd, you have any last thoughts before we close it up?
Just thank you for letting me be on the show, man. Had a good time filling in for Fernando and having that hot take, man. And again, I have to echo his sentiments, man. We're not hard to find at the stadium. You can always see Vince, the famous cowboy, walking around. So come say hi to us, man. And we're the only podcast that's by the fans, for the fans, for the fans, by the fans. We're in the stands with you.
That's right. So for Mr. Todd Fox himself, I am Vince, the Angels Cowboy. We will see you next week, and y'all be good now. You hear?